What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of What's the Word, your home for all things sports. I'm your host, Sam Casillas, and before we jump into today's episode, I just wanted to say I appreciate all of the support that you guys have been giving me on these podcasts. I took a little break just to work on some personal projects, just to start getting ready to move back. I'm getting ready to head back up to school for fall camp. Season's right around the corner, but I do appreciate all the support. Took a little break, but we are back now. So without further ado, man, I miss you guys. Let's talk some sports. Let's talk some baseball. We are officially halfway through the season, so that clock is slowly starting to tick, and the race for the postseason is upon us. But let's start off with a team who is just about as hot as you can be, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are 6-2 since the All-Star break, and this is a team that is not even in their final form yet. They are injured all throughout the board. Mookie Betts, Yamamoto, Max Muncy, Walker Buehler, Brusdar Graterol, Chris Taylor, Miguel Rojas. The list goes on and on. This is a team who is banged up. That is an understatement, but they are still doing their thing. They are balling out. And like I mentioned, they are not even in their final form yet. They're finally starting to get some more production out of the 7, 8, and 9 spot. That's really been the biggest thing for the Dodgers. 1 through 5 is going to get theirs, but really the whole season, that bottom of the order has been struggling, 7, 8, 9. But since the All-Star break, that has not been the case. Gavin Lux, he is starting to heat up. He's playing some of his best ball of the season. He won NL Player of the Week. That's huge, Gavin Lux, a guy who was batting, $150, and he's starting to find his groove. And maybe he's trying to beat the trade allegations, or maybe he's beefing himself up. But whatever it is, he's balling out. So shout out Gavin Lux. NL Player of the Week. Teoscar Hernandez, he has been playing some great baseball, and I cannot say enough good things about Teoscar Hernandez. The fact that the Dodgers were able to get him for the price that they got him for, a 1-year deal. This guy, I can't say enough. It seems like every time we've needed a clutch moment, Teoscar's been the one to kind of just give us that spark. He's just one of my favorite Dodgers in Dodger Blue. I can't express how much I love watching him play. And the Dodgers, man, they need to stop slacking. They got to re-sign that man. They got to pay him whatever he wants. He's shown just how much he brings to this team already. And we're only halfway through the season. So Teoscar Hernandez, shout out to him. First Dodger player to ever win the home run derby in his first appearance. So Teoscar Hernandez, you see him. His energy's contagious. That guy loves being a Dodger. He's grinning ear to ear. He's producing. He's producing well for the Dodgers. So they're not even in their final form, but they're starting to get these, pieces starting to produce. So it's looking good for the Dodgers. But that really was the biggest part of the Dodgers lineup, was 7, 8, and 9, and getting production out of them. And that's going to be, the missing piece. That's all they needed, because, man, starting pitchers, they got themselves a headache working through 1 through 5. And, just when you finish those 5, you think, okay, I got an easy 7, 8, 9. But no, man, there's no holes in that Dodger lineup. Just when you think, you can take a break. We've seen it. We've seen opposing pitchers, they try to intentionally walk Will Smith. They'll intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani. And that's going to bring up Will Smith. That's going to bring up Freddie Freeman. And we've seen those situations like, pick your poison. You walk Shohei Ohtani and you bring up Will Smith, but Will Smith's going to walk it off anyway, So it's crazy. There's just so many weapons in that Dodger lineup, and if you're a starting pitcher, you can't pitch around them. You got to go at them every time. And you've seen it. Like I mentioned, the Dodgers, you intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani, you give up a walk-off to Will Smith, So you got to pick your poison, but oh, God, 7, 8, 9, it brings a tear to my eye to see them producing for the Dodgers. It's amazing. But speaking of producing for the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani is, he is just doing Shohei Ohtani things. This is a guy who is recovering from Tommy John still. And if cranking 30-plus home runs is, and being an MVP frontrunner is part of his rehab, then go ahead and get that rehab on, Shohei, big dog. I'm not going to stop you there. So if that's just what the doctor ordered, to keep cranking 470-foot bombs, go ahead. Hey, I'm not going to argue with the doctor, But it's crazy. We have an opportunity for a guy as a DH to win the MVP, and this guy is putting up some ridiculous numbers. And God, I just can't wait to see him. We talk about the Dodgers not even being in final form. Talk about Shohei Ohtani not even being in final form. This is a guy who is one of the greatest pitchers in the league already, but he's, been sidelined with Tommy John. We're looking to get him to pitch next season. But I mean, he is still making his presence known in that DH spot. He has been balling out. And really, one of the good things I wanted to bring up for the Dodgers is that, they've had those injuries to their rotation. And, now they're starting to get some of their key pieces back. We got Clayton Kershaw. He is coming back at a pivotal time for this, Dodgers rotation. This is one of the greatest arms in baseball. Let's not forget, man. So he's back. He had his first start the other day on Thursday. And let's not forget, I mean, Clayton Kershaw, yeah, he's up there in age. And, he's had his fair share of injuries. But let's backtrack a little bit. I mean, since 2018, Kershaw's really dealt with one significant injury a year. And, he's still been able to post a 2.77 ERA and a 1.01 whip. So, I mean, over that 6-year stretch, people have always questioned, oh my God, is Kershaw going to come back strong? And he has, so only time will tell. But, I mean, he had a strong first season debut outing. He only went 4 innings, but, I mean, he struck out 6. And, that vintage Kershaw breaking ball was there. And then he was looking comfortable. But I'm glad he was able to get that first start. And he got his feet wet. But Kershaw's back, man. Kershaw is back, and he was shoving. He did good in his first start, so I'm excited just to see him back in the rotation. We got Tyler Glass now back in the rotation. He had himself a good start, and I just want to say, man, despite all the injuries and despite all the punches that the season that the Dodgers bullpen have taken, they have not thrown in the towel. I mean, they've done just quite the opposite. They've got a lot of good innings out of their starters, and oh my gosh, the Dodgers finished the first half of the season with a 3.76 ERA. I mean, that's not terrible. It's from a team that's had to make so many moves with their roster and kind of experiment, kind of plug and play guys in that starting rotation. And I mean, they are fighting hard. So they got those guys back right at a good time. Glasnow's back, Kershaw's back, and they just called up River Ryan. He's a guy who made his debut the other day. He pitched well. So, I mean, the Dodgers are slowly starting to find their groove. They're slowly starting to get their pieces back. And, I mean, like I mentioned, once they get all those pieces back, that league, you guys better be ready. And, a lot of teams are going to have some headaches when they get the Dodgers in final form. And, I'm excited just to see how the Dodgers, come back. And hopefully they can all find their groove together. But, I mean, the Dodgers, they are prepping to make some moves. They DFA'd Paxton. They were able to trade him to the Red Sox. So, I mean, it looks like they're prepping to make some moves, ready for that trade deadline on Tuesday. So, there have been some talks about, adding another arm to that rotation. Tariq Skubal, Garrett Crochet, to name a few. And, I mean, there were even some little talks about, Randy Arozarena rocking that Dodger blue. And unfortunately, they're going to stay as talks. I mean, he did sign with the Mariners, but that buzz is dunzo, dead that. But, yeah, Dodgers do need some pitching, and, I mean, I expect them to make a move. They've been moving around some stuff on their roster. So we'll see. I mean, they still have a little bit of time before that trade deadline on Tuesday, but I think if you're the Dodgers, you want to grab another arm. It's going to be huge, but enough about the boys in blue. Let's move on to another team who is just about as good as they come. The Philadelphia Phillies. They had the best record in baseball heading into the All-Star break, and they kind of came out stumbling a little bit, but, I mean, this is a team who has the firepower, they have gamers all throughout their lineup, throughout their rotation. They're going to get it done. I mean, top 3 in the league, top 3 in offense in the league. They have the second lowest ERA in baseball with 3.46. That's actually the best in the National League. So, I mean, they have allowed the second fewest home runs. They've done a great job of keeping runners off the bases. Their 4th lowest walk rate in the league. So, I mean, they're surely doing something right. They got, Cy Young candidate. He missed a few starts. Zach Wheeler, he's back in the rotation, and he is, playing some great ball. He's reminding everyone why he's a Cy Young candidate. I mean, he's 10-4 with a 2.55 ERA and a .98 WHIP. I mean, in 20 starts, this guy has shown time and time again why he's a Cy Young candidate. And, I mean, the Phillies are just so happy to have him back. And, I mean, that team, we saw their series with the Dodgers. I mean, those are, those are 2 big dogs right there. And the Phillies, they were able to bring the brooms out on us, but I think come October, it's going to be a good matchup. But, I mean, the Phillies, they have absolutely all the talent and then some to go far in the playoffs. They were down for a bit, but they're up now. So, starting to find their feet coming out of the All-Star break. But, I think the Phillies will be just fine. And let's take a shift over to the American League side of things. Speaking of settling back in, I know, pains me to say this, but the Houston Astros are starting to find their groove. Quiet first half of the season. I mean, you did not hear anything about the Astros. They were kind of down bad the first half of the season, but I mean, 26-13 since June 2nd, and they slowly. I mean, the Astros, man, they're always going to be there. And they have that pedigree, they have that experience, but they're always just gonna creep their way back into their life. They're like that toxic ex that you just can't get rid of. They're just gonna creep their way back. I mean, they're moving silently. I mean, they slowly moved into first place in the AL West, and they've been playing some great ball. Like I said, 26-13 since June 2nd. Like, that's great. So they're moving into first place in the AL West, and I mean, they have been absolutely riding Yordan Alvarez. I mean, how could you not? That guy hit for the cycle, one of the best bats in the league, and I mean, they have been getting some great production all throughout that lineup in that stretch, and that's a team who, they're not even in their best. They're not even at their best yet either. I mean, they still have some injuries. They're waiting for Kyle Tucker to get back. He's been rehabbing, but there's really no timetable for his return. So once they get him back, I mean, he is going to be an essential part of their offense. But yeah, the Astros, they are, don't sleep on the Astros. Like I mentioned, they do have that experience and they do have that pedigree. So they're always threats to make a push come October. So never count the Astros out. I mean, they're starting to find their groove. They're playing some great ball. So we'll see. Like I said, that push for October, it's still a little bit away, but it's closer than you think for some teams. I mean, we're already halfway through the season, a couple more months left. So, you better believe teams are starting to make that final push, and it's almost that time. It's going to fly by fast, but let's take a look. Let's take a shift away from a team. Let's just talk about one individual who is absolutely balling out, and that is Paul Skenes. I mean, that dude is absolutely shoving right now, and even when he loses, he wins. I mean, this kid is just getting better and better every start. He entered Tuesday's start against St. Louis having never taken a loss in a pro game. That's minor leagues. That's as a starter, and I mean, not in his first 11 major league starts that guy has, taken a loss. But unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end. Paul Skenes took his first loss as a starter. And, I mean, it was a tough loss. That guy pitched out of his mind. It was his longest outing of the season so far. He pitched into the 9th inning. He finished with 8 1/3, and he allowed just 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no free passes, and he struck out 8 batters, lowering his ERA to 1.93 for the season. So a sub-2 ERA as a rookie. I mean, the numbers, I always say this, men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. And Paul Skenes is absolutely doing his thing. I mean, it's such a shame that the Pirates offense hasn't really been able to get it going for him. I mean, they've only given Skenes 16 runs through those 11 starts, and it's hard to win games if you don't score runs in this league. Pitching can only take you so far, and Paul Skenes, he's doing everything he can to put the Pirates in a good spot, to play some winning baseball, and that's what he knows. Forget this guy played at LSU, one of the best programs in the country. This guy knows how to win, and this is a guy who wants to win. But hopefully the Pirates, man, hopefully they can get it together over there and figure it out, because that guy, let me just say, that guy is going to be a star, man. And hopefully the Pirates can do right by him, and they can get him some pieces, because that guy wants to win, and he wants to win bad. And his stuff is looking gross. This is arguably the best he's going to be, but who knows? I mean, he's only going to get better, dude. This guy is a rookie. He already started the All-Star game. I mean, he had to go through that tough American League lineup. I mean, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it was, Judge, Soto, Stanton, maybe I think it was Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles too. But I mean, this guy has already shown he's already gone up against the top of the top, and I mean, he's doing his thing, and you can't argue with that. He's balling out. He's making a good case for Rookie of the Year at National League. But I mean, Paul Skenes, you're doing the damn thing over there in Pittsburgh. So hopefully they can get my boy some run support over there, and everything will be all good. But that's gonna wrap up the baseball side of things, and let's take a shift over to the Olympics, baby. Olympic season is upon us. Some of the best athletes in the world making their way over to Paris to compete. I want to focus on 2 sports. So today we are going to be talking about men's and women's Team USA basketball, but let's just start on the women's side of things. There is a lot to dissect, and let's just take a little bit of a backtrack to, maybe a week and a half before the games, and we saw that exhibition game. I'm going to say exhibition. I'm going to use that term loosely because I feel like that game should have been taken serious, and it was during All-Star weekend, but I feel like when you are heading out for the world stage, you got to take those tune-up games serious. And yeah, it was fun. It was All-Star weekend, but that was a game, and I think Team USA losing that game to Team WNBA really put, it made the selection committee think. And oh my gosh, like, they had a tough decision to make. And let me just say, that was a game. Before I dive into all that, that was a game. We had some records broken, and the Rooks, they balled out. Caitlin Clark, she set an All-Star game assist record for rookies. Angel Reese finished with, 12 and 11 off the bench. And, the star of the show, really, the points per game record, Arike Agumbawale, 34 points in the game, 21 of those in the third quarter. I was witnessing that with my own eyes, hitting one-legged faders, step backs off the dribble pull-up. She was absolutely in her bag like the fries were at the bottom, man. She was deep in her bag, and she was cooking. She was making a case for herself that she could be on that Team USA team. So, I think if you're the selection committee, that put some people on notice. They had a little bit to prove, and, they went out there and they played loosely and they balled out. So, the selection committee definitely, maybe we're scratching their head a little bit, but guys, let's just say, I still don't think that has any, impact on Team USA winning the gold medal in Paris this year. And let me tell you why. Team USA, they have won the last 7 gold medals. They are chasing their 8th straight gold medals, man. That is greatness right there, let me just say. But this is a team who, they haven't even lost a game in the tournament. Their last loss in Olympic play was the semifinals in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. And just let that sink in. This is a dominant group. And like I mentioned, they're chasing 8 straight. So, that loss maybe put things in perspective. But, if anything, that should, make you look at the bigger picture and just let you see that, the best talent in the world for, women's basketball is in the United States. You have people coming. I've seen it, one instance, Camila Cardosa, from South Carolina. She came from Brazil at a young age to have a chance of playing basketball here in the best league in the WNBA. And, you have people on the global stage that just haven't really caught up to, the level that the United States women's basketball team is on. So that's why I think, it's really no sweat. I think they're still going to go out there and win gold. They're still going to go out there and do their thing. But I think if anything, it just shows more the disparity of talent on the global stage. You look at, I'll talk about this in a little bit, but you look at men's basketball. You have other countries now who are competitive. You have, NBA players who play in these other countries. You look at some of these other countries like Germany, that's damn near an entire NBA roster of people. And, there's other leagues, there's other pro leagues. And I feel like at the men's level on the world stage, there's so much closer to NBA than, versus the WNBA. It's clear. You saw USA, they beat Germany in their tune-ups by 20. They're waxing Germany. And that just goes to show how different it is still. And, the rest of the world still hasn't caught up yet. So I just wanted to point that out. I have no doubt in my mind that, Team USA is going to go and they're going to bring back the gold. They're going to bring back that 8th straight gold. Why not, right? Why not make it 8? But I think that's just something that's so important to think about is like, hey, nobody in the world is at that level yet. And don't get me wrong, the game is going to grow. The game is going to continue to grow. But it's just not at that level yet at the world stage for women's basketball compared to, as it is to men's basketball. We have the US. They barely beat South Sudan, man, 102-101. So that's a team, that's a country who they're right there. They're hanging with the US, and they made some noise. So that just goes to show, how different, how many levels there are to it on the world stage. But best of luck to the Team USA women's team. They open up group play on Monday versus Japan, and they are looking, they can smell that 8th straight gold. They know winning, and they know what it takes. They have that pedigree. So good luck to them. But let's take a little shift over to the men's team. Men's hoop Avengers assemble. Come on. they are trying to get their get back from, not getting exposed in the Olympics, but I mean, kind of getting exposed in the FIBA World Cup. They brought the big dogs over here for this team, and I mean, they looked absolutely great in those tune-up games that we saw. I mean, yep, people are questioning, oh my gosh, why isn't the USA men's team doing what the women's team is doing to Germany, beating them by 20? And like kind of what I mentioned in the last little segment, people need to realize, man, that the world is catching up, and there's people hooping worldwide. Basketball is such a worldwide game, and it's starting to show at the men's level. I mean, like I mentioned, South Sudan, 1 point win for the United States. I mean, those guys are hanging with the best of the best in the world. I mean, these are the Avengers, and I think that's just so awesome to see. Understand that the game is growing, and God, it's such a beautiful thing that the game is worldwide, and that you have these competitions that they're entertaining. They're not just blowout wins. So I mean, I'm excited just to see Team USA chase that gold. They've been playing some great basketball. They're being led by none other than the king, LeBron James. I mean, he's been doing his thing. Damn near 40 years old. Dude's pushing 50. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, he's still showing why he's that number one option. He's playing with some of the greats. Steph Curry, AD, Joel Embiid, Tatum, Derek White, all those guys, and they're playing so well together. And LeBron just driving that bus. He's doing the damn thing. And Team USA is looking sharp. I'm excited to see just how they get things going. But they begin play on Sunday, so I mean, let's see what they do. But that's gonna wrap up today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in to What's the Word. We'll see you next week. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, make sure to tell a friend to tell a friend. We're trying to go viral with this What's the Word stuff. But as always, make sure to drop a comment. If there's anything you guys want me to cover in particular, I'm more than happy. This is for you guys. But hey, next episode, we're going to dive right into foosball. We have a lot to talk about, but we'll make sure to keep you covered on What's the Word. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sam Casillas. We'll see you next time.